Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? I hope you had a good weekend. It's the 15th of August. Welcome to the BBC Spews Live. Huzzah. Who's in? Let's have a quick look. Mr. Maximum's in, the slightly inebriated, the very, very inebriated Scotsman. I've seen your tweets, mate. There's no way you are merely slightly pissed. You type like someone's just upended a rat in a shoebox and left it on your keyboard. Anyway, Mark McCoy's in as well. Brad Pace, Shiners, Gruppen Fury, Mark Thompson, Al Stewart, Carl Burton, Dan Spiker Dance, Angry Squid, Bailey Gregory, Dave Rooney, Mandesky, Ragnar's in, Jeff Wedden, Scouse Obi, and of course, Blue Van Man. Now then, right. Interesting weekend. I rang my old man today and he said to me, that Sky News is getting worse. That Sky News is unbelievable. It's worse than BBC. And I was like, oh, yeah. He said, first of all, they had a black woman on there getting interviewed who was Jamaican, and her son is getting deported, right? And he said he's been arrested 35 times in 2 years. He's obviously got no right aboard, and they're deporting him because he's been arrested 35 times in 2 years. And apparently, Sky News have got this big thing saying, oh, it's disgraceful. We can't deport him. I was like, if you just step up a stall on the street and every single person who walked past you, you just stopped them, door stopped them, and went, excuse me, there's a fucking Jamaican bloke who's an illegal immigrant and he's been arrested 35 times in 2 years. Do you think he should be deported? Ballpark figure. What number of people do you think would say, I can't fucking fuel the aircraft fast enough? Like, I seriously want to know, what do you really think? I even think most Labour voters, because again, it's not the left that are insane, it's the woke, the mental. Like, you can't, they don't care what the evidence says. If you see, basically, the reason that we're totally fucked is because the woke do this thing whereby if the right are against it, they're for it. And they don't care what the issue is. If they're against it, they're for it. Like, that's how mad they are. And we aren't like that. Normal people aren't like that. I'm not even saying we as a political group now. Like, just normal people aren't like that. If Keir Starmer said something like, we should deport illegal immigrants more aggressively because there's nothing good comes from that, we wouldn't go, no, we fucking shouldn't. No, we shouldn't. Get Matty Nungwankbo from get him out, put him in my fucking shed. Get him out of his tent in London and put him in my. In fact, fuck it, he can look after me nana. Send him to the old people's home. That's what's wrong with them. They're mentally ill, and if the right are against it, they're for it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. You should, if you were like, you know what, I definitely think we shouldn't let Ian Huntley mind the kids this weekend when we go to Flamingo Land. They'd say, yeah, we should. Yeah, we should. I don't think I should see someone shitting 10 feet away from me while I'm outside a restaurant in San Francisco with a nice outdoor seating, nice heated outdoor seating area with some nice plants, some exotic plants. Oh, it's lovely. What's that? I'm just looking at a fucking random black man's brown eye because he's snapping one off 10 foot away from the restaurant. They go, no, that's all right. It's all right. As long as they don't have to wait. I mean, because obviously they're hypocrites, aren't they? It's what winds me up about them all with the climate change thing. You know, I always talk about how I like old adages because there's wisdom from old adages. That's why they exist. The ones that don't have any wisdom in them disappear. You know, real life's a meritocracy. There's wisdom in old adages. There always is. If it's an adage, there's wisdom in it because that's why it's an adage. And the reason they say charity begins at home is obviously because that's good wisdom. It's like if everybody had that attitude and everybody saved and scrimped and was conscientious, the world would work because everybody would be doing all right. There wouldn't be any need for a charity if everybody was conscientious and looked to themselves and saved and lived healthy lifestyles and didn't abuse drugs and saved the money and fucking invested wisely and lived a frugal, Spartan lifestyle. There'd be no need for any charities because if everybody did it, the whole world would be a utopia. And with the whole climate change thing, it's the same. It's as long as you do it. You know what I mean? If John Kerry really wants to make a difference, You should start at home. You don't eat meat, John, and you don't fly anywhere, and you use only public transport. You do that, John. Charity begins at home. But none of them want to. AOC, you eat crickets, AOC. You eat crickets and you walk everywhere, and I fucking won't. Easy. But they're not happy with that. They're not happy with it. It's always you have to do it. You have to do it, and they don't do it. John Kerry cries about climate change, and he takes 250 flights a year. Bill Gates has a private jet. He doesn't fly coach. Coach is all right. Why can't rich people at least just fly first class? Right? I'm not saying they shouldn't fly. I'm not some left-wing activist. But at least fly first class, because that plane's going to be up in the sky with like hundreds of people on it anyway. But they won't even do that. They don't even fly first class on a commercial airline. They all have private fucking jets. So they haven't got, well, like I keep saying, they haven't got the right to talk down to anybody, to you, to me, nobody. They haven't got the right to talk down to you, because they are staggeringly hypocritical and they don't live by what they advocate for everybody else. So fuck them. My scorn and contempt for these people is off the charts. If any one of them at least attempted to live by what they advocate for me, then I could have some modicum of respect for them, but none of them do. Bill Gates calls his private jet his guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasure. Is it hard flying first class on a fucking commercial airline? None of us do it, because it's a fucking rip-off. Bill Gates could just fly commercial, first class. You even get a bed, and they bring you champagne all day. But they won't do that. So fuck them. Why should I have any modicum of respect for them? And this is a piece that Jordan Peterson wrote in The Telegraph, I remember reading, where he said, what you don't realise is as well, it's because of human nature. When you start doing this, being hypocritical and having these diktats for what people should and shouldn't do, it actually makes the environment worse. And I was like, whoa, I said that before he did. Do you remember? Because what I was saying was, and I'm not a professional psychologist, I'm just working class, no nonsense, straight talking, streetwise bloke who just says what I say. Say what you see, like Roy Walker. Say what you see, you fucker. And to me, being a chippy northern wanker, when people tell me I have to do something, I'm willing to make my life worse. This is what people have never understood about the Scots. This is why Scotland, Mr. fucking, he'll agree with me, the merely tipsy Scotsman. This is why Scotland and the North can't run their own shit. Because we're stubborn. The Northerners have this weird stubborn streak, right? The Scots are unbelievable. The Irish are the fucking same. Freud said you can't do psychoanalysis on the Irish, didn't he? We're stubborn to the point where it's completely irrational. My wife said that to me before. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. I don't care. I'm so stubborn. I'll make my life worse purely out of spite, just to not do what you're telling me. And that's what they don't understand. So we can't fucking run our own shit because we're illogically, irrationally stubborn. And that's what I'm illogically, irrationally stubborn. Like, I will cut my nose off to spite my face. And that's what I was saying about climate change. If you start ramming it down people's fucking throats, they'll actively make everything worse. Like, I was joking about dragging my mattress outside and setting it on fire once a week. But I mean, if they really pushed me, I'd fucking do it. If they were pushing me right now, you can't have any more steak, I'd be like, I'd break into an oil refinery, steal a few hundred barrels of oil on a flatbed truck and just tip them into the fucking sea. I'd go to the local canal, kill a prostitute, throw her in there. That'll do. Fuck you. Fuck you. Have that. There's a bit of pollution. Have a hooker. Literally anything. I'd risk going to prison just to do the opposite of what the globalist oligarchs are telling me to do. You tell me to kill it. You tell me to eat crickets. I'll set a fucking buffalo on fire. You know what I mean? You say I'm not allowed to fly anymore. I'll piss in the reservoir, burn fucking cars. People don't understand how stubborn blokes are when they get, especially blokes. Blokes are way worse than women. Women are way more reasonable. But we're stubborn as fuck. And if people like Bill Gates, who say, oh, my private jet's just my guilty pleasure, start trying to tell us we're not allowed to fly, we're not allowed to eat what we want, we'll just go fucking mental. We'll be littering with coal. Like, you know, instead of walking down the street and guiltily, I don't litter, I think that's a cunt trick. Now, but I'm not in fuck the world mode yet. I'm conscientious. I never do any bad shit. And my carbon footprint's very small because I eat cleanly and I walk everywhere. But if they're going to push me, I give up. And this is why it's worse for the environment. Because I'm telling you, there'll be tens of millions of blokes like me. Currently, I'm low carbon. I walk everywhere. I use loads of public transport. Me and my wife, she used to probably drive about 20 miles a week. We don't fucking drive very much. Maybe less. We're mega careful. If a couple of miles, we'll walk it. But if they're going to start pushing it on me, I'm going to actively go from being, I never litter. I do my bit for the environment. I don't overeat. I fucking walk everywhere. If they're going to start pushing it on me, I'm going to just turn into the biggest cunt ever. I'm going to see, I'll start, you name it, littering, setting tires on fire, pissing in the canals, fucking whatever. Because I don't like being told what to do by hypocrites, by hypocritical fucking wankers. So this whole climate thing is just going to make everything worse. And if everybody's skint as well, they're going to start, like, for example, if they're proper skint and you make the heating, this is a really, really obvious one, right? Again, stick with me if you've heard this. If they're going to make it so that heating is 3 times as expensive as it is, tight fuckers really will just start having a fire. And heating your house with something like natural gas is mega efficient. And it's green. It's green energy, basically. It's very, very efficient. Heating your house by burning dried feces, which is what they do in the third world, right? Coal, wood. People are going to start doing that. You don't think there's going to be some... I mean, again, picking on the Scots today, the jocks, the tightest fucking men ever. Don't you not think that in Glasgow, if the heating fucking bill is tripled, that there's going to be a few sweaties just go out with a fucking axe, chopped out a few trees and literally set the bastards on fire? How good's that for the environment? So it's so fucking naive. All this stuff about carbon footprint, Green New Deal, shit, you are going to make the environment 10 times worse because 50% of the human race are stubborn bastards who are just going to go, you know what, fuck you then. Yeah, there's an obvious one. Trudeau has the biggest carbon. Of course he does. Of course he does. And like I said, if they really do this climate, well, they're going to, which is what I'm saying. So charity begins at home. If you want me to start living green, back the fuck off. If you want me to continue being green, continue having a small carbon footprint, probably only take a flight once a year in coach, crammed in with all the rest of the scum. If you want me to do that, stop being a hypocrite, start living it yourself. You, John Kerry, should eat the cricket paste and you should walk everywhere, you fucking old cunt. Frank Day sent me £1. Not that I'll ever see it. Not that I'll ever see it. I've still never had a penny off YouTube. Don't know how it works. Don't know how it works. But Frank, Susan is very pleased that she's got an extra £1 sitting in her coffers earning interest because but Bootneck doesn't get any of it. So just so you know, thanks for that. Susan's a bit skint. That'll buy her a coffee. Cheers, mate. What else have we got then? Should we do some fucking news instead of me just ranting about the bastard environment? This one I want to talk about, right? So this is the headline news on the BBC today. I want to talk about this because it shouldn't bring you. It's reminiscent of, in fact, let me Google it. It's reminiscent of Kathy Newman. Yeah, there we go. So I just Googled it because again, I told you, Bootneck just remembers stuff. The thing that can take the piss out of me, I just remember stuff. So that story, FBI warns of increased threats after Trump search. What did that remind you of? If you've got any sense and you pay attention to the world, and I'm sure all the Bootneck fans do, it'll remind you of this. For those of you that aren't aware, this is their go-to trick. Every single fucking time they are as cliched and as boring as they are on every subject. It's unoriginal. This is why I hate the woke so much. They're unoriginal as well as everything else. Hypocritical, dishonest. lying, cheating, sneaking, pedos. As all of that, they're also fucking boring and unoriginal. And the reason I drink is because I get bored. I need to be entertained. Every single fucking time one of them acts like a twat, they fall back on threat and abuse. Because, I mean, it's quite hard to quantify, isn't it? In this day and age when, you know, it's so easy to send someone abuse. It's so easy. Back in the old days when they used to actually have a police inquiry, if someone sent you an angry letter, was because it takes a lot of effort to get the paper, get the pen, write the fuck you, I hope you die soon, fold it up, put it in the envelope, lick it, put a stamp on, walk to the post office, find the address. That's why it used to be a big deal when someone sent you a death threat. But in 2022, the meaningless. I've had fucking hundreds. I've had hundreds. Whenever I argue with the followers of the religion of many, many pieces, I get fucking hundreds of them. They love to go at you. Loads of them. Matt Taylor, you will not live to see another day. Boring bastards. I've had loads of them. But when a wokeist acts like a cunt, and that's what Kathy Newman did, she basically went on television, acted like an absolute twat. Acted like an absolute twat. And everybody who's seen it agreed that she acted like an absolute twat. So what did she do? Instead of holding her hands up and saying, yes, yes, I was acting like a twat, sorry, they instantly fell back on this one. Oh my God, we need security experts. So that's called baiting and switching, isn't it? That's what they do. They bait you with oh, maybe Kathy's going to apologise. And then you get in there, oh no, she's not going to apologise. She's going to double down. She's going to say, I was totally right. Everything I did was perfect. You're the cunts. We've had to hire security. We've had to hire security. They probably didn't hire security. I probably didn't hire security. It's like people, when they lie, they flesh the lie out, don't they? I remember an extremely annoying family member threw a phone at my wife. They were arguing, and he shot it at her. And then the next day, he said, oh, I didn't throw it. She threw hers at me. And no, I passed her it and said, no, look at this. And then she threw it at me, and it broke, and I got the screen fixed like yesterday. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning. So in between 11 o'clock at night and 9 a.m., you got your fucking mobile phone fixed, did you? Didn't happen. It's like fleshing out the lie, right? So that's what this is. Oh, we had to call in security experts. Did you? Did you really? Let me talk to the security expert. Did you really hire experts, plural, numerous security professionals because 10 people on Twitter said, Kathy Newman's a fucking cunt? Did you really? Did you really do that? No, you didn't, did you? You didn't. So that's what they do. Fucking bollocks. Vicious, misogynistic. She's a fucking dickhead. She's a fucking dickhead. Everybody saw she was a dickhead, and then millions of people seen it, so a couple of hundred said, she is a fucking dickhead. And apparently, the headline story is not John Peterson, perfectly reasonable, polite, being talked to like a cunt by this fucking harpy. The story becomes, they had to call in security experts. So lo and behold, that's what the BBC's doing here. And the FBI, obviously. FBI, fuck off. I hate the BBC. I'm not signing up for anything. Mar-a-Lago, FBI warns of increased threats after Trump surge. Of course they do. So that's the story. That's the story. How cliched are they? How cliched are they? So they take the piss, raid a president, never done before, ever. Fully taking the piss. Just weaponized. I mean, we know they've done it. They weaponized the IRS. We know this happens. Weaponized the FBI. As, again, we've talked about this for years, so it's not news to us. But there they go. Increase. The real story here is not that we've weaponized the fucking mechanisms of the state to persecute people that we don't like. That's not a story. The real story is someone on Twitter called one of our agents a cunt. I mean, that's not a story. That's not a story. But do you think anybody cares about this? It's the front and centre top story on the homepage of the BBC website today. A few wacky people on social media said, the fucking FBI are cunts. I hope a lunatic leaves a fucking truck of fertilizer outside the bastard HQ and blows it up. That's so some lunatic says that, and apparently that's the story of the day. You know how many people are on social media? There's fucking 4 billion people using the internet. And apparently it's a story when someone says, yeah, the FBI are cunts. It's not a story. It's not. This isn't news. The news is, as we know, the news is the fucking deep state, the career. I won't use that word because it sounds a bit like Alex Jones. The news is ideologues, woke, brainwashed, university-educated ideologues that nobody votes into power are currently sitting at the top of all the important positions in all the states, the taxpayer-funded organizations. So the FBI's woke, the CIA's woke, the fucking postal service is fucking woke. Basically, everything that is run by the taxpayers is woke, because all the people who get those cushy, white-collar, middle-class jobs where you sit on your fat fucking ass all day typing and reading a bit, like James Comey, Brennan, Clapper, all the fucking high rankers, FBI, CIA, Postal Service, judiciary, lawyers, judges, they're all left-wing activists. That's why when Trump won the election, the fucking wankers were caught on the phone saying, Trump's not going to be the president, is he? No, we'll stop him. We'll stop him. Yeah. People, 80 million American citizens voted for him, and civil servants were going, we'll stop this. You fucking worms. You worms. You almost can't. It would be amazing if people didn't send them threats, wouldn't it? Because I don't know about you. Do you get offended at the idea that we pretend we live in a democracy and you go and vote for someone and then a civil servant could just go, fuck you? That's basically what they're saying. That's basically what they're saying, isn't it? Basically saying, fuck you. If every one of us voted for the next Prime Minister and it was Lawrence Fox and he won, and they went, actually, yeah, he won by a couple of million votes, but nah, we'll just put Keir Starmer in. I'm amazed people don't get violent. I'm amazed people don't get violent. I'm amazed how reasonable and civilized the average person is. Because to fully just drop your drawers and curl one out on my fucking face when I voted for someone, I'm amazed people don't get violent. That is the type of thing people probably should be getting aggressive about, isn't it? If you vote for someone and a civil servant just goes, nah. Like I said, Brexit, it was sort of amazing how civilized. I mean, I think it's sort of pathetic, really, how neutered the British are. Sort of amazing how civilized they were about Brexit. Like 18 million working class people voted for it. And the civil service just went, yeah, we'll just get a load of oily lawyers to ignore you. We'll just get Gina Miller and the House of Lords and most of Parliament and fucking everybody to just say we're not doing it. We had to vote again and again and again and again and again. If we hadn't voted for it 5 fucking times, they wouldn't have done it. Like they wouldn't have done it. I think that they realised after about the 4th fucking vote, if they didn't do it, they were going to get what was coming to them. Because to me, you can understand people getting violent. The voting process replaced violence. The reason we vote is because we used to line up on a big field and kill each other. And somebody invented this amazing process called democracy. And the worst you have to deal with is waiting a few years till the guy you do like gets in charge. So we went, okay, that's a better idea than murdering each other. But if these motherfuckers are just going to start totally fucking with the people that the majority want to be in charge of them, you can understand why a few dozen people post violent, increasing violent threats posted on social media against federal. That's your fucking, you've got off lightly there. If this was 100 years ago, there wouldn't merely be an increase in mean tweets. You'd have a bastard 100,000 blokes with wigs on pointing fucking muskets at you and pulling the trigger. So are you really that upset about this? You know why they're doing it. Because you're taking the piss. 81 million people voted for it. And they're just fucking going, right, how can we fuck him now? How can we fucking know? It really is quite astounding to me. But like always, they have no self-awareness at all. They've got no self-awareness at all. They keep taking the piss and taking the piss and taking the piss. Ignore your will, ignore your vote. Do what they fucking please. Tell you to eat crickets while they fucking eat steak. Tell you to walk while they're on a fucking private jet. Hunter Biden can do what he wants, Some of them pictures that have gone around of Hunter Biden are absolutely fucking shocking. Like, that little freak should be in prison, and he can do what he wants because we like him, because the civil servants like him and they like his daddy. So he can do what he wants, and Biden can get money off the Chinese. Everybody knows about it. They've fucking admitted it. He's took money off the Chinese, and he's allowed to do that. And he's took money off the Ukrainians, and he's allowed to do that. And his son's allowed to be a fucking smack rat, skag fucking peddling, dirty, slimy, horrible shitbag. And he can do that because we like him. But Trump, we will fuck him 6 ways from Sunday. Every single month, we'll think of some new way to try and fuck him. It's just painfully obvious. So, of course, you're getting an increase in violent threats. Of course you are. What do you think they were going to do? You think everyone's just going to go, oh, cheers then, that's fucking sound. 81 million people voted for him, and you treat him like a fucking leper, and nobody's going to care. Now, I'll tell you what, seeing as unelected civil servants and bureaucrats don't like him, I'll just vote for Biden instead. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Do these people know nothing about fucking human nature? Like I talked about earlier, about cutting your nose off to spite your face, stubbornness, especially blokes. Do they not understand how stubborn humans are? They won't have it. You can tell them to vote for Biden as many times as you want. You can threaten them. You can lie. You can cheat. You can steal. There's 81 million people in this fucking country who will be utterly outraged and justifiably extremely angry when a bunch of unelected bureaucrats tell them, we don't care what you voted for, we're just going to do everything for Biden. Yeah. And his family and him can break the law as many times as he wants. And Trump, I swear down, the amount of times they've pulled through his records and still got out. He must be, hands up, I was wrong about the man. I thought he was probably going to be bent as fuck himself. He's a billionaire, self-serving. I thought he'd have a lot more skeletons in his closet than he has. Turns out the motherfucker's whiter than white. Whiter than white. If I'd been fucking searched by the FBI as many times as he has, I'd be in the nick for something. I mean, I don't think I'll break the law, but show me the man and I'll find you the crime. That's what they say, don't they? I'm sure they'd get me for something. They'd be like, oh, look, he downloaded a fucking album in 1999, jailing. Remember when Napster was a thing? We all had a pot on that, didn't we? I'm sure if they checked us out as much as him, we'd all be in the nick. So it turns out, not only is he not that much of an arsehole, he's whiter than bastard white. The man is a saint, a big orange saint, because there's no way anyone could get checked out as much as he had. Sweaty FBI agents going through your knicker drawer and not find something. So, hey, I'll hold my hands up. I was wrong. What's this one? Another murder in Oxford Street. No mention on the BBC. Was there? Let me check that out. Murder, Oxford Street. Murder, Oxford Street. Let's see. Oh, yeah, not on the BBC. Look, I'll prove you. I'll prove it to you. Just Googled it. Murder, Oxford Street. Daily Mail, Sky News, ITV. Not on the BBC. LBC, The Independent, The Standard. Yeah. Now, so let's go on the Daily Fail, even though it's all bastard adverts. Bloodbath, stabbed to death at a Korean restaurant. I love it. I love what we've done to London. Turned it into an absolute fucking swamp, haven't we? 3 more murders. Class. Stabbed to death at a Korean restaurant in a side road off Oxford Street, in the heart of the West End, to the horror of passing shoppers. Yeah. Not if you listen to the Bootneck. Not if you're based and you listen to the Bootneck. I'm so immunised against it. If I saw a gang of Somalian goat herds chopping someone up with a machete on Oxford Street, I'd be like, I wouldn't even stop to take a picture. I wouldn't even stop. I wouldn't blink. I'd be like, I probably wouldn't look up from my phone. Mass murder. That's how common it is now. Because they've turned London into a fucking swamp. Turned into a swamp. Maybe it was that Jamaican bloke who's been arrested 35 times. It's probably him. Put him down for number 36. Put him on number 36 arrest. And we can't deport him because he's a good lad, really. His mum said. And fucking Kate 80. So, yeah, definitely. He's a good lad, really. We all know that. Fucking mad. What a shithole. What a shithole. Oh, yeah, we heard about him as well. That Benjamin Mendy. He loves a bit of it. That mucky bastard. Raped and sexually assaulted young women in locked panic rooms in his isolated mansion. He's like fucking Fred Wester, cunt. But obviously only the Daily Mail's talking about it because, well, you can guess why, can't you? Because Benjamin Mendy doesn't look like Fred West. No. He's not a pasty, blue-eyed white man with a fucking farm yakker's sweater on. Benjamin Mendy looks a little bit different to Fred West. Yeah, a little bit. Just a bit. I mean, it's the sweater that does it. It's the sweater that does it. I mean, there he is there. I mean, it's the sweater. He definitely has a penchant for sweaters that remind me of Fred West. And before he shaved his head, his hair was a bit like Fred's as well. Yeah. So that's why the BBC don't like talking about it. Because he's a fucking sexual deviant. So even the ones that pay the taxes are sexual deviants that we fucking fly over. Brilliant. Bendy Mendy. Yeah, so he's a sex pest. Nice one. I don't want to keep going on the Daily Mail website though, because there's too many adverts. It does me head. It's even worse than the BBC. Poland Street. I bet you it looks fuck all like Poland now. It looks like Mogadishu now. Poland Street now. It should be renamed Mogadishu Avenue. I want to rock down to Mogadishu Avenue. That's what they should call it. Mogadishu Avenue. Poland Street. A wretched hive of scum and villainy. That's exactly what it is. Anyway, so that's that. I think I'll call it there for the day. Thanks for telling me about news that the BBC doesn't cover. Yeah, we know what the plan is. So as I said, the main takeaway from this stream was simply that one. This is not a story. The story is not, of the 4 billion people on the internet, 25 sent threats to the FBI on Twitter, which is lazy and you can do it in half a second. And they should just be instantly discounted and ignored because nobody cares. I've had fucking hundreds of death threats. I've never called the police once. I've had more death threats in my YouTubing career than the FBI got in the last week. I guarantee you, I've had fucking loads of them. Don't call anyone, don't care. So this isn't a story. The story is that the federal government is completely ran by activists, just like in England, the Home Office, MI5, MI6, the judiciary, the House of Lords, all those, the Supreme Court in Britain, they're all ran by woke left-wing activists and they can do as they fucking please and they're all hypocritical and they don't care about enforcing the law equally because they don't enforce the law if they like the politics of the person that's the paedophile or the rapist or the nonce or the embezzler or the tax crook or the drug addict. Or they won't prosecute them, but they'll prosecute you because they don't like your class and your politics. And that's the big story. This isn't a fucking story. Just like Kathy Newman getting a few threats on Twitter wasn't a fucking story. Frankly, the way they behave, I'm amazed they don't get burning dog shit posted through the letterbox every day of the week. I would assume every single FBI agent has burning dog shit put through his fucking letterbox on a daily basis because they're taking the piss out of all of us. They keep taking the piss out of all of us. And justice is not blind. She wears a fucking pussy hat and an I'm with her t-shirt. What a twat. All right? Winner. That is one silver lining. If we didn't have the what, we'd have nothing to talk about. I agree with you there, Boo Van Man. Right, ladies and gents, we'll call it there. I'll do a stream tomorrow because I have to work Wednesday morning this week. Yeah, shit to do. So I'll do a stream tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. All right? See you all very soon. Toodle pip.